What's up, world? Let me tell you about this beard growth oil I got from 12 tribes on Earth. 8 ounces of oily goodness with a nozzle that prevents sprays and spills, and soft ingredients that make it perfect addition to anyone's morning routine. From coconut to castor, all these oils are hand chosen. After using this herbal blend, the biggest thing I noticed is how soft, how strong my hair was, and how good I feel. Pick up your bottle today and make your beard the star of the show.
Shalom, family. Good to see you all here. Hope you're doing well. Well, we're going to talk about our infamous Uncle Ruckus on the Supreme Court. So, as you know, the Voting Rights Act came up for a hearing and a vote by the Supreme Court, and 6 justices, including Thomas, voted against the Voting Rights Act and 3 voted for it. So nobody should be shocked. It's almost like this man, maybe somebody hurt his feelings before in the past. So now he's going to take it out on all of us every chance he can get. So anyway, I don't expect anything decent from a person like Clarence Thomas. And, it reminds me of that Dave Chappelle show where they had the lottery on race and they were giving people away. Well, if we ever have that lottery, white people, you can definitely have Clarence Thomas. I'll give him to you for free. That's how much I want to get rid of him. We'll give them to you for free. So anyway, y'all, nobody should be surprised. One thing about Clarence Thomas, he has used his seat. Unfortunately, those appointments are lifetime appointments. And he has definitely used his seat on the Supreme Court to undermine us since he sat on his seat. And from that point on, he's done nothing but undermine us every chance he could get. So it is what it is. But let me go ahead and share my screen so you can get more details on this. And I got an upcoming live, y'all, on the Taino Indians, like these lighter shade Latinos always telling everybody they're Taino. Well, according to Christopher Columbus, when he saw the Tainos, they were what we're called copper colored or black. That's how they were described, okay, by Columbus, that some were copper colored and some were so dark they looked black. But who's always screaming they're Taino? The lighter shade, the bastard children of the Spaniards, they're always the one hijacking it and claiming it's them. And you can clearly tell they're not an original people at all. Y'all did not even exist until the Spaniards went to the islands and did what they did. Y'all didn't exist. But the Tainos are listed as copper skinned and black. And don't y'all run around, you lighter shade ones run around talking about me no black, me no black. Okay, then how can you be Taino then? Because the Tainos are described as dark. So, and y'all run around talking about some me no black, then how are you Taino then? Yeah, you children of the conquistador Spaniards, y'all need to go somewhere and sit down. You're doing just what the folks here do. You hijack everything, but it's not actually you, but you always hijacking it. And to add insult to injury, if you look, there are pictures of the original Tainos. And the darker shade people, the ones listed as Afro Latino, when they speak up and say, we were those original dark people Columbus was talking about, you know what the lighter shade ones do? They laugh at them and don't take them seriously. I said, yeah, that right there proves those dark Afro Latinos, those are the original people of those islands. These lighter Spaniard offspring mixtures, they came much later. They came much later. Their existence is only a few hundred years on the earth. They have not been here the entire time. So, y'all, we'll get into that at 6:45. Yeah, well, they're doing just what the colonizers do over here. You know how just like even with our inventions, our people invented, they claim it was them, they slap their name on it and claim it's them. It's just same way. The lighter shade ones are hijacking Taino. And when the darker shade ones speak up and say, no, we were the originals on these islands, they get laughed at. So I now see that's nothing but a defense mechanism, dehumanizing them, make it seem like they're the nothings of the islands, and really it's the other way around. At the end of the day, it's the other way around. So anyway, y'all, let's get to this. We'll definitely get into the original Tainos and who they were a little later. So give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
I was born May 13th, 1965. The Voting Rights Act came into effect of August 6th of 1965. Push forward now to, what's this, May 2nd, 2026. I gained rights. Basically, I was a little bit, 2 months old or something like that, and I've lost them because of the neglect of some of our people not taking it serious, and of the evilness of these colonizers. And you all wonder why these colonizers, will they never be trusted again? I know they won't be trusted by me. I never thought I would be feeling this way, but here it is. And then one of the major nails in the coffin is you have a Supreme Court justice that looks like me. That was one of the ones that voted to strip most of our voting rights away. You talk about evil. And you talk about someone want to be accepted so bad. And this is a person that benefited from this as well. Because I'm pretty sure when Clarence Thomas was born, there was Jim Crow and everything else in place. So this is why now our people are taking it so seriously. Once you show who you are, there is no second, third chance. It's not. It's one of those things where you show us who you are, and that's cool. And you can stay on this side. And I really hope that our people get in that mindset that when somebody shows you who they are the first time, there's no second chances, not in this day and age, because these colonizers want to, these colonizers will hurt us so bad, mentally, physically, and financially. Please take this in mind.
I am sick. I am sick of your shit. And when I'm not sick, I'm tired. I am sick and tired.
Today was not such a good day for me. Everything was just going wrong. I get home, I get on social media, and I see that the Supreme Court has struck down parts of the Voting Rights Acts that specifically would kill like the Black vote in the South. Now, I'm not affected per se because that blue dot that you see on that map in Georgia is Atlanta, but still, it's just like, I wonder, do people who are not Black understand how it must feel for us walking every day through life, realizing that people hate us simply for breathing air and that our skin is darker? Like, I can't now, different people, women get hate, Asians get hate, Hispanics get hate, but the hate with the vitriol that people feel for Black people, what did we ever do to y'all? What did we ever fucking do to deserve the hate? And added on to that, I haven't said much about it. I haven't said anything about it, the whole Clay and Meg situation. And it's not that, it's parasocial or anything. It is the reaction that I have seen from men who look like me and the things that they have said. And hearing white supremacy come out of a Black mouth. And seeing today a Black man vote to strip Black people from their votes, it has been too fucking much. It has been too much to hear white supremacist talking points and ideologies coming out of a Black mouth has been too much for me today. And as a Black woman, I'm constantly asking myself, where is a soft place to land? And I never get a fucking answer.
Clarence Thomas never misses an opportunity to disappoint me. In a 6-3 decision today, the Supreme Court voted to dismantle the Voting Rights Act. 6 conservative justices, including Clarence Thomas, voted to disenfranchise millions of Black voters.
Okay, I just want to say this. For me, this whole thing is not all about the Voting Rights Act. For me, it's about how we know we got a serious coon problem within our group. And as you can see, if you take one of them and put them in high places, they spend their entire existence undermining us. Clarence Thomas sits there like he's white. Seriously, that's how he sits in his seat. He must really seriously wake up every day and believe he is a white man down to his bones, because that's how he moves. That's the whole point for me in this whole thing. How it's just like if you put them folks in high positions, we already know they spend their time undermining us. It is what it is. But when you see a dark melanated glass wearing man sitting there doing it, it is uncanny. It's shocking, but it's what you should expect in this society. Some people are badly brainwashed. When it comes down to whiteness, they are brainwashed, and you just can't undo what's there. And as far as Clarence Thomas, I wouldn't trust that man as far as I could throw him. I don't trust him. I never could trust him. I never will. But I'm glad the Most High gives us an opportunity to see some of the people that look like us for who and what they are. So as far as I'm concerned, this man is just another enemy of our people. And that's how I will always see him. So let's go on.
voters of color all across America. And all of them should be held accountable, don't get me wrong here. But specifically Clarence Thomas, being only one of 2 Black justices, the only Black man on the court, votes to dismantle the voting rights of his own community? The same community that worked for decades to uplift Black voters and Black voices in our government votes to then go undermine all of that work. That's despicable. Am I surprised? No. Am I disappointed? Always. But this issue just really blows my mind. The cognitive dissonance he can have sitting on the highest court of the land, never has to worry about getting elected, makes a decision that makes it so much more difficult for Black voices to be amplified in our government. Shame on you, Clarence Thomas. Shame on you.
These folks ungutted the Voting Rights Act of 1965. They said, and by they I do mean Clarence Thomas, that the Voting Rights Act of 1965 should have never been interpreted to make certain racial groups believe that they were entitled to roughly proportionate representation. What was it supposed to mean then? And as much as I want to yell, scream, and cry about that, we don't got time because we got work to do. Now, the midterm elections of 2026 were already a must do, must go, must vote. And they knew that, which is why they did this. This Supreme Court decision puts 30% of congressional Black caucus seats at risk and was designed to impact majority Black voter districts. That means it puts half the majority Black districts in the South at risk as well. And do you know how many seats that is altogether, people? 191. And this case could already give them the advantage of 19 seats right now. And that's okay. All we need to know is the conditions so we can respond appropriately. What does this mean for your elected officials who exist right now? They need to be fighting for maps that can compete with this. What does that mean for you as voters? It means the voter plan thing has to go into overdrive. You don't just need to know where your voting district is or when the voting registration deadlines are or when early voting opens up. You need to be checking at Google, your state voting websites religiously to see what tactics, because this is what all this is, a tactic might exist now in your district to prevent you from voting. Here's the thing, y'all. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 eliminated Jim Crow. It ended Jim Crow. Not just by making discrimination illegal, but it gave people their power to be able to vote for policies that would ensure discrimination would not exist any longer. And these folks are trying to go over our heads to take that power from us. And it's not just a Black thing. Because if there's anything this administration has taught me, it's been my quote for 2026 and will be my quote for the rest of my life, honestly. And it's that racism has always been the front, but fascism has always been the play. And the question is, how long are you gonna let the playground stay open? Huh? And I've even got good news for you. You don't even have to wait till midterm elections for things to get done. States like California and Virginia have already taken a stand to make sure that their people will not be played with, that Black people will stay represented. States like Illinois and Maryland can right now make sure that their maps are constructed to adequately and equitably respond to this action. And as all these people are interviewing with you to try to get hired for the midterm elections, you can add this to your list of demands. Yeah, healthcare. Yeah, affordability. Yeah, Medicare. Yeah, reproductive rights. All things. Also, maps. Yeah. I'm the map. I'm the map. I'm the map. I'm the map. I don't know. I'm just trying to stay amped.
Is Clarence Thomas an Uncle Tom? Would you classify Clarence Thomas and his voting with his class rather than his culture when it came to gutting the Voter Rights Act of 1965 considered an Uncle Tom? Because he has betrayed his people on a level that I don't think anybody really comprehends. Because by trying to strip away, or actually stripping away, the Voter Rights Act of 1965, which gave all people, even people of color, the chance and opportunity to vote and make their voices heard in any election, just seems like he has sided with his class rather than his culture. And when I say that, I mean, he thinks that he's a part of the 1%, which he really is, because the normal days of life don't affect him anymore. And it's not like he's really of the culture, spending time with the people of his race at a given day. He has systematically separated himself. And by voting against this act and changing it and stripping it, he has voted against his own class of people. Would you consider that an Uncle Tom act? Let me know in the comments. I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Baby, you got to go to hell, okay? Like, the faster you do it, the better off every.
Can someone tell this guy the reason why he's able to be there and be this ignorant? I quit. I quit. No, I quit.
Same court. Both Black, both from the South. Thomas voted to end affirmative action and dismantle the Voting Rights Act. Jackson dissented both times, same identity. One uses it to say race shouldn't matter, one understands it still does. A similar experience produced conflicting views on who needs protecting.
1991, Anita Hill is on the stand getting brutally interrogated by Joseph Biden. She's making claims against Clarence Thomas for sexual harassment, right? And he doesn't understand. It's one of his many racially insensitive moments. He doesn't understand that he was giving fire to the Republicans and also just embarrassing a black woman. He couldn't piece that together. But essentially, it's one he deeply regrets it. 2013, that predator in the Supreme Court, they got the most important part of the Voting Rights Act, which was the pre-clearance system. And the next day, Texas implements the most restrictive voter ID law in the country. Does that sound familiar? Louisiana, why do y'all move so fast? Jesus. But essentially, the pre-clearance system just blocked laws that were suppressing voters of color, and without it, the burden of proof for discrimination now falls on the person that thinks they're being discriminated against. I know. Lastly, Obama can't push out Ruth Ginsburg. Ugh. And she had terminal cancer. And then a year later, her replacement gets blocked by this orc. And that's why you know his name. That's why he's a legend in their party. They've been rubbing our faces in this ever since. Have you been paying attention? We lost a long time ago. That was the final nail in the coffin. This week in Louisiana, they allowed states to remove minority-majority districts off the face of the map. What does that mean? It means the majority is going to be defining what the minority is again, what they feel, what they think, what discrimination means to them. 40% of the Black Caucus might get removed this year. They're already redrawing maps all across the... I don't even know. Nothing like this has ever happened before. They're canceling elections. I mean, it's absolutely batshit crazy. A little weird that at the time that we say that we're all not racist, the system is still obviously just preserving whiteness at all costs by basing all of his laws around just not the white people. Could that be because that at first we didn't write any for us? And we only fought one war as a country, right? It wasn't a class war, right? Okay, yeah, no, it was a civil war, and I'm pretty sure it was you're close. Yeah, no, it's like a coming back one. All right, have a good day.
Oh boy. Well, today the Supreme Court heard arguments as to if the Voting Rights Act of 1965 is actually racist to non-Black voters. And the 6 conservative judges, including Clarence Thomas, seem to agree that yes, the Voting Rights Act of 1965 has, quote, outlived its usefulness. And Brett Kavanaugh even went so far as to say that any laws that have to do with trying to like make equality work need to have time limits, and that the time limit for the Voting Rights Act may well be up. Since 2013, there have been several Supreme Court rulings that have diminished the original power of the 1965 law, starting with Shelby County versus Holder, which said that it was unconstitutional for the federal government to have to approve states' voting laws. So that meant that the states could come up with whatever kind of voting laws that they wanted, and there wasn't like a check on that from the federal government. Within hours of that opinion, certain states started making voting more restrictive, adding things like voter ID requirements and changing the times that you can vote to be less convenient. In 2021, there was a case called Brnovich versus the DNC, and the Supreme Court opinion on that made it very difficult for a plaintiff to win a lawsuit challenging voter restrictions if they claimed that the voter restrictions were racially discriminatory. And the case they're hearing right now is Louisiana versus Callias. And if the Supreme Court sides with the state of Louisiana, it would mean that states can draw maps that diminish the voting power of Black Americans. So, and it looks like they're going to side with the state of Louisiana, which would mean that they could draw racially discriminatory maps. Worst case scenario here is that Republicans can pick up 20 to 30 new congressional seats with newly drawn, more discriminatory maps. That's where we are.
Justice Clarence Thomas, you coon-ass nigga, I hope that the soft shoe you do in hell for eternity was well worth the goddamn white approval you got on earth. Years ago, I was preaching about how we needed to sign the new John Lewis Voting Rights Act into law, and it never ended up happening. It never passed. It wasn't pushed as a priority. And now Republicans have just blasted past the Voting Rights Act. Basically and roughly, in my home state of Louisiana, a few years back, there was a lawsuit being like, hey, this state is 2/3 Black, but only one district in this entire state has a majority Black vote. We're gerrymandered so fucking hard. This is a violation of equal voting rights, right? And a federal court went, yeah, actually, no, that makes sense. yeah, that's actually crazy. Let's fix that. But then a Republican org responded and was like, hey, actually, we don't agree with this. And we just see that our boy got the Supreme Court loaded up with cronies. Let's take this all the way to the Supreme Court. And today they said, yeah, actually, the only way that you can change this is if you can prove that they were trying to be racist when they completely excluded the black vote from the districting. Clarence, I understand that for the very first time last year, your wife's family let you come in through the front entrance and not the entrance from the health, but you are going to burn in hell. I'm an atheist, and I hope that heaven and hell are real so that you have to see Martin Luther King and then get kicked down to hell for the things you have done here on earth. This is actually insane. This is one of the things that I've been warning about for years. Like, you can go back, you can find videos of mine from like 2021, 2022 being like, hey, fuck, dude, this is actually terrible.
Oh, yeah. Well, y'all, this is just more proof. They know who we are. They know who we are. And, you know, another point I'm trying to make, ever since Donald Trump came into office this time around, he has gone above and beyond to take everything he can think of away from us, our history, books from the library, banning books from Black authors, coming in office and just trying to strip away our history, taking down monuments to Black soldiers, taking down monuments honoring the slaves of presidents and stuff. So he did everything. So when you go to war, Donald Trump, just remember, you want everything white. You just remember that. You always keep that in mind, because you can't strip us down and then demand that we go on the battlefield, because I dare you to do it. In fact, I dare you. I dare you to keep stripping stuff away from us. And then when you get in over your head, because we already seen you get in over your head with Iran, and that's why you want this automatic draft. Go ahead and let them set up the automatic draft. When it comes time to go, don't send your kids off. Okay? If we're not worthy of anything, then we should not be worthy enough to go on your battlefield. That's the way I see it. So no, don't fight for a country that's trying to strip everything away from us. And on top of that, refuse to give us reparations, but will gladly give money to immigrants and everyone else up in here. So no, when you get in over your head, America, in your wars, do not even think about looking at us. Got that? Good, because if you didn't, we certainly will remind you. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. Thank you so much for being here. Be on the lookout for my next live at 6:45, where we will go over the Taino, the original people, the Aboriginals of the Caribbean, and the Taino Indians, who were very melanated and very dark-skinned. Shalom, family.